Welcome back, everybody. We have more competitive knots just for you, and this time we're gonna be looking at HDTV versus. Oh my God, this is embarrassing.
Ninjas with attitude.
I didn't see them. I could not see them.
The
They,
ninjas with attitude. Without further ado, let's just get straight to the bands and
the
picks and we'll get
ninjas.
right into
They're
it.
the ninjas. Oh, all right.
So, the ninjas with attitude, we're going to be seeing a Scoop, a Vinny, and a Raylan. An interesting comp. On the other hand, we have HDTV rocking the squid himself. Ted McPain on the McPain train. And Penny, again, this is the second time we're seeing Penny today. Without further ado, give us a countdown. Let's get straight into the match, Nada.
You got it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so I'm starting to see ninjas again. I don't know, they must be really good camouflage here, but we're gonna be seeing a lot of base abilities, except for Scoop, sorry, and Ted, where we're gonna be seeing range on AA.
An early game range AA Ted is quite a bother for the other team at this point. Ninjas with attitude are going to have to be forced to play very safe, as Ted is one of those brawl characters that before you know it, your HP is completely gone. And a nice engagement going on right now. The pulse is actually going to land on Kelvin. Kelvin and Jess going to be taking a bit of damage right here, but Jess able to sponge a lot of that damage. And YOLO's going to be taking a lot of damage right now. Jess is looking for the kill, but unfortunately not able to pick it up. So Jess is going to retreat back into that midsection, and the squid is going to be forced to teleport back, heal up, and get right back into the fray.
That is some effective early gameplay right there.
Yeah, we saw the counter engagement coming out after the anchor hit, and a nice counterplay coming out on the ninjas right there. But you know, this is a very interesting comp to see the ninjas playing a Raylan, Vinny, and a Scoop. Now, the Raylan can kind of play into anything, as Raylan's a very versatile character, and a lot of damage being dealt right now as Chris Moon is going to be taking a chunk out and proceeding back into that midsection as HDTV picks it up. But as I was saying, Raylan can play into the mix of any team just because of how versatile she is at this point. So, tossing in a Vinny and a Scoop, how do you think that's going to play out?
I think we're going to see a lot of, ranged, quote-unquote, attack. We're going to see a lot of poke. We're going to see the Scoop Hammer just fly in. And with the Ray Snipe, the Vinny is going to dive in and provide a bunch of burst damage. I think that's what they're going for. High multi-target burst.
Where we look at HDTV at this point, where they have two very bursty characters, that being Penny and that being the Squid, of course. And we have Pushkin, who's playing his well-renowned Ted at this point. And Ted is a very versatile character as well. He's got that brawl capability, he's got that turret capability, and Kelvin's taking a lot of damage.
Nice.
Kelvin is going to be the first kill of this game as HDTV picks up the first kill 2 minutes and 15 seconds in.
Yep, that's something I want to point out, especially with HGTV's comp, is that they have a bunch of push potential. Swiggin's AA is absolutely amazing, and so is Ted's. They're gonna have a super high turret DPS, and with the Penny, you're gonna be able to provide for extremely even higher DPS towards naught targets with the Amplify. So they're all about the DPS and the burst. Whereas we have a more of a long range and a bit... If you look at the differences here, you have a multi-target high burst and you have a single target high burst plus DPS. So it's kind of a trade-off for what you want.
Yeah, I'm looking at HCTV and I see this brawl comp come out. Then again, I'm looking at this Ninjas with Attitude comp and I'm seeing these not explosive kind of pushes, but actually Kelvin is going to pick up badass catch-up right there. And as I was saying, they don't really have this exponential burst, but they have the ability to have the burst. The potential is there. You have that Scoop who can basically, if he maxes out his bindings, it's going to be a huge chunk of damage coming out, and you have him get into the fray. You have that Raylan there for the support, land the snipe, and then you have Kelvin for the backup. Or vice versa. You have Kelvin go in for the spike dive, then you have Chris Moon landing the snipe. It's just a lot of damage. So that's where that potential for burst comes in, as you were saying. So both teams have a good trade-off, I would say. We have a well-balanced kind of push kind of team coming out, and then we have the potential burst for the Ninjas with Attitude.
Yeah, well, they are building for the Rift Snares right now, it seems. That's something that's very powerful. If you do with a Ray and a Scoop, you can snare people for a very long time. Really securing that Rift damage just does a ton of just harm, and it's gonna be devastating, really.
Jess is going to get caught by the Swiggins anchor right there. Jess is opting for a Penguin Squire again. This is the second time that we've seen him opt for a Penguin Squire. It's a very good upgrade, and it's very cheap. You have that heal over time, that extra 150 over 5 seconds, so you can continue to brawl, heal yourself up a little bit, and stay into that fight a little bit longer, and that's exactly what Jess is opting for.
I mean, he wants to be in there. He's really playing the role of the sponge here. And Ray is going...
He's doing so quite well so far.
Yep. I mean, what Chris Moon is doing is just getting the rift up, and I'm really hoping to see some nice hammers to lock the individual or even multiple members of HDTV into that rift and just do absolute amount, just crazy amounts of damage.
A nice engagement going on in the top right there. That airstrike hit Chris Moon as he went up for the snipe. One thing that Chris has to be really careful about is if YOLO is there for the pounce, because if she gets stuck up there into that snipe on that top bouncer and YOLO gets on the red turret side, she can pounce her right into that blue turret, and it's going to be a lot of extra damage.
That is potentially going to be a kill, because there's not much you can do once you're over there with the Penny, because Penny is super good at body blocking. That's a strategy I feel like is underrated with Penny. If you can body block, keep getting your AA hits in, get the pulse in, you have the cooldown on the pounce, you just keep going and you fire damage, you fire stuns, you fire the amplify up, and people just have nowhere to go.
Jess going to be taking a lot of damage on that bottom lane right there. Just going to be forced to back up a little bit, get the heals back, and we're going to see a push up top for HDTV. A small push at that, but nonetheless a little push. They're going to be poking at that turret a little bit with that ranged head. I'm actually looking to see how many stages of AA he has right now. Only one stage of AA, but he's got 215. He may be saving up for just all 3 stages at once at 380.
He might be doing that. I would not be surprised if that is what he's going for. As for Swiggins, what do you think he's all about?
Just that huge burst. Swiggins has this amazing burst. With one anchor, he can potentially take out 900 plus damage if he gets DOT and amp.
That is a lot of damage, I will admit, and that's not counting in the multiple AA hits he will without doubt get in on you.
Jess is actually able to steal that top health from Ketchup as they fought it out up there. Just lands that hammer and able to take that up right now. Chris Moon just kind of clearing that top lane, getting that rift right there, and actually falling off of that midsection, unable to hit the snipe. And it looks like Jess is going to be fighting it out with YOLO, but no teams are going to be able to come out with a kill at this point. It's fairly even. You know, we're not looking at much of a solar difference almost 8 minutes into the game, 7 minutes, excuse me. But top turrets are about equal, maybe 3 or 4 bar differences, and the bottom turrets are pretty much equal at this point. And it seems like Jess is going to be caught out, and kills, yeah, we're at a 1-to-1. But as I said before, solar difference being very minimal right now, if at all, maybe 100 between the highest and lowest members of both teams. But YOLO going to be in a little bit of a squeeze right now as a lot of damage is being dealt, but the miss snipe on Chris Moon is going to allow the counter attack from HDTV, and
the airstrike almost actually
narrowly missing.
Almost. Those are the ones I like to call the pushkin strikes, because they are there and you just don't see him, because he has a way of putting the airstrikes like where you want to go. Even when he's on the bottom lane, he just knows where you want to go, and I am super impressed with it each time he does it.
And that's how you play Ted. You have to pay careful attention to that minimap, and especially if you're on the bottom lane for a majority of this game. But Pushkin has been able to stay in this top lane and be absolutely terrifying in the top lane. Kelvin's taking a lot of damage. Kelvin is going to be able to be picked up by YOLO right now. Jess is going to be forced to go back, and Chris Moon to defend that top lane in a 3v2 situation, as we see HDTV switching up lanes right now, and Pushkin kind of being there for the support in that midsection. Pushkin should be getting back at the
rift! Oh, the rift! It almost picked up Pushkin. Speaking of the rift, I super approve of the rift build that is going on right now. Absolutely love it. 2 stages of damage or attack speed. I'm still not used to it being attack speed, and then 1 stage of height. It makes for a super versatile rift for not that much solar. So now I really want to see Chris Moon get some boots, so he'll be able to brawl with it a bit more, apply it a bit more effectively, and from there maybe build some snipe damage.
Yeah, as you said before, for not a lot of solar, you know, 165 for each stage. That's pretty minimal, to be honest. Maxing out your rift attack speed at basically what, 330, 340 solar. That's nothing.
Nope, and it's really, really good and useful. The thing about it is that you have to apply it to be effective, because it is what I'd like to call a passive ability. You don't do damage actively. You have to sort of get people to go in your rift.
And obviously that just has to do with more or less placement and prediction.
Yep. You cannot force people to take damage with it, kind of like you can with a snipe.
Well, actually, you can if you get your body blocks in. And that's
that is true, but that is not how you apply that. When you throw that, you don't get a free body block unless you have the droid, which I super do not approve of. There's dumb upgrade. Anyway, as for the Vinny, we're looking at a goldfish as well as the money cloud. So he's obviously aiming for the later stages of the game.
And as you said, later stages of the game, we see that silence coming out early. So he's going to be sacrificing some damage on his dash, but he's also going to have that draw of getting the silence out and being able to completely nullify any abilities coming out on HDTV if they fight in that. He should be going straight for Rocketeer at this point. He's got the silence, he's got the regen, getting that extra cloud at the longevity and the size of it is going to be very powerful in the long run.
Oh yes, you are absolutely right. And then again, look at the airstrikes. Oh, the dash in from YOLO, that's great. Just the airstrike in there on the snipe, and then from off screen, a penny just comes flying in. That's beautiful.
So Jess is actually going to be duking out with Ketchup on the bottom, and Pushkin is going to be fighting it out on top. He's going to drop that silence cloud, but that is going to be the first turret down in favor of HDTV as they take a slight advantage picking up that first turret right now. That bottom turret is still on for Ninjas with Attitude, but HDTV for the most part has taken control of this match at this point and have kind of established their dominance in that midsection.
Yep, you're right. We're actually looking at a lot of damage on, what do you call it? No, that's a penny. That's not a Nibs, that's a penny. And she has a lot of damage. All 3 stages of bug jars, which is going to provide for a ton of damage. And when you add that up with Swiggin's hefty AA damage, now with Pool Boy, it's going to make for some serious burst right here.
We're actually seeing this kind of mid-control being shifted a little bit. Jess is caught out in a little bit of a bad situation, and there we see it. You know, you asked me what that Swiggins was going to build, and the burst. You can see he's got all of his stages of AA, and now he's just picked up Pool Boy. This is going to be a huge amount of burst coming out on Swiggins right now. Combine that with a Ted and Penny, that is almost going to be a secured kill on anything at this point.
Yeah, with his team though, might I add, even though he did a lot of damage, he did go down to the lovely counter initiation that is Raylan and Vinny.
And we're actually going to see a 1-for-1 exchange there as Yellow is going to get picked up by Jess, but that engagement was caused by that Vinny there, dashing in with that silence cloud. It's going to force that kill on the Swiggins because nobody's going to be able to use their abilities in that. So that Penny is really crutched at that point, as well as that Ted not being able to switch to his shotgun and get that kind of area attack going on with his shotty. So we saw that silence cloud getting put to work, and we're actually going to see Pushkin going for that first solar boss that we've seen getting picked up. Actually, no.
Oh, no,
First
no.
solar boss for HDTV, excuse me.
Oh, yes. Raylan was there with her Rift. Something you absolutely have to remember when you're playing Ray, that your Rift is going to tear that thing apart. So please, please, please go kill the solar boss with it. It's going to take you less than 10 seconds.
And here's one of those situations where, you know, neither team really has the advantage at this point, because Pushkin is now able to get into that bottom lane and take that turret down single-handedly if he gets there. So Pushkin is actually going to avoid the silence cloud as much as possible, but going to be taking a lot of damage and body blocked right now by that Raylan into that rift.
That's a great rift. That's a great rift. And Badass Catcher is going to be in a very bad position, but he's actually going to pick up Raylan. Oh, and he's going to duke it up with the mini. Can he? Oh,
but the hammer coming in from Jess, as Jess looked like he was about to retreat on that bottom, but comes back in. Excellent awareness coming out on the Ninjas with Attitude, as well as HDTV right there. That Swiggins was in a really bad situation. Kelvin went in there with the silence cloud, dropped the silence, and Jess came right back up with about a quarter health, being able to secure the kill and escape, making the best out of a bad situation. An excellent part on Ninjas with Attitude right there.
Oh, yes. Ted has actually got a lot of sustain And I am kind of curious, you being a good TED player, why would you be doing that?
TED sustain, you're able to stay in that lane as much as possible. I run Starstorm on TED, so I do sacrifice either regen or boots depending upon the situation. But Pushkin, he's one of the more well-known TEDs. He's a very smart TED, and he's building for this long game. He's building to stay in a lane as long as possible and continue to exacerbate his push power at this point. He's going to be able to stay in those lanes, get health pretty quickly at this point. Oh, Rift ears.
Rift.
We do apologize for the audio on that, but as I was saying before, he's just building to stay in that lane. So he's going to be able to dish out a lot of damage.
Again!
Strikes again. The Silence Cloud being dropped. And Jess is going to be actually picked up by YOLO right here. And Kelvin and Chris Moon both forced to defend at this point as HDTV has progressed into this kind of stage where they're going to be able to pick up this bottom turret either way. So Chris Moon is either forced to retreat back and defend the top. Well, Kelvin is actually
he wants it and he gets it. That's how it goes. Alright, so Raylan actually opting for the Lucky Cat air freshener, which I'm not quite sure where she's going with this. I mean, it's a good upgrade for brawling, but without boots, it's going to be pretty hard to actually get that that damage applied.
See this top lane right now getting actually taken down to about 3/4 health as YOLO is going to be duking it out. Jess kind of hunting him down. Ketchup going to be taking a little poke right there. The airstrike acting as a barrier. Jess is going to be taking a lot of damage right now. Chris Moon dropping that well-placed time rip is not going to allow HDTV to progress in and attack Jess. And here we see the Penguin Squad coming into work, getting that nice heal over time.
Oh yes. I wonder, is he going to be able to get do you think he is going to go full for sustain and just get the milk as well?
Well, as you said before, he's acting as a great sponge right now, so he can continue to maintain his position in his build, but opts to go for the hammer damage. So I was just stating that he can kind of maintain his sponge build at the moment. He is building for the brawl. So he did pick up that AA damage, and he did not pick up hammer early. So he's actually getting a late game hammer at this point. So it's going to be doing that increased damage, and it's going to be significantly increased. So HDTV may not notice it at first, but over time, that hammer is going to be dealing a lot of extra damage. And this is where Pushkin's build kind of comes into play. We see him being able to get that sustain and be able to take those hammers and say, all right, that's nice, I'm getting hit with a hammer. Oh, wait, look at that. I'm at full health again. Let me continue my push.
Allow me to progress. All right,
and
so
it's just a great combatant to the cooldown hammer. 2 stages of regen. So
well, now I guess it's just about who gets the next droid wave, because both teams, again, we're at a situation where both teams can defend really well. You have Ray with the Rift, you have the Silence Cloud on the ninjas, and we have the Swiggins, the Ted, and the Penny as well. All 3 very good defending characters. So it's more or less who gets the double kill and the push. That's the one that's going to progress. Because otherwise, we're going to see a very, very slow game, because we're going to have lots of defending, lots of pushing back and forth, and thus not much is going to happen, I think.
Yeah, it is going to potentially get stale at this point. We're going to see both teams kind of maintain their grounds and where they are, waiting for the opposite team to mess up in a situation, whether it be someone getting caught out of position or a misplaced Silence Cloud is going to allow either a double kill on either team. If you can take out one person at this point on both teams, who do you think it should be? Who do you think these teams should focus? So
okay, so we're obviously looking at either Raylan or Vinny. I think Vinny actually gets the top priority because he will actually completely stop the droids from attacking. Raylan will just make it very, very hard for the droids to actually do any damage. And the other way around, I think we are looking at someone to take out Ted, because he is going to be I think the key power to actually moving forward and getting the push up.
Ted, an interesting pick. I can agree with you in some aspects, but the sheer burst that HDTV has, just with the Swiggins and a Penny alone, I think they should be the ones to be focused right now, especially Penny. Penny's a squishy character. You get her caught in a Silence Cloud, you can take her out very easily.
Yeah, see, I'm basing this off of droid kills, because right now Ted has almost twice the amount of droid kills as his Penny, so I really think that he's doing a lot of the work from keeping the ninjas droids at bay. And
we're actually going to see a huge fight going on right now, and Chris Moon is going to be able to escape, and Pushkin's going to be taking a lot of damage right now, but Ketchup is able to get picked up first. It's going to be a one-for-none situation. You know,
that is great team defending. Great team defending.
We've entered the late game at this point. Builds are in place. We know the direction that these builds are going, and these turrets should be somewhat weakened by the sheer amount of force that both of these teams can put out.
Oh yes, we're looking at airstrike damage as well as stun on airstrike, so we are going to be seeing a lot coming out of Ted, especially something that I'm actually curious about. Why did he not go for airstrike earlier on this map, seeing as he has been hitting a lot of them?
Well, it just goes with his sustain build at this point. He wants to be able to deal a lot of damage to turrets, and if he's taking solar to put towards his airstrike, that's not enough solar that he's going to be able to put towards his sustain. So that's at least that's what I believe he's going with it. So in his situation, I believe he built extremely correct, considering he is hitting these airstrikes, but his team is also kind of progressing to the stage where a single push can get a huge chunk of damage out, and Pushkin himself knows that.
Oh yeah, I do not doubt the Pushkin for one moment. We're looking at silence on Penny, something that I've been just eagerly waiting to see, because that's going to help so much, especially taking out Vinny, so there's going to be no counter dropping that silence cloud. They're just going to silence in, go and fire off all the bursts they can in that short short silence interval. I believe it's around 1.6 seconds that they can get out of it, something in the likes, maybe 1.4. I do not even have done the math right now, but it's in that general area, and if they can get the burst off in a quick manner, then I'm absolutely sure they can take out Vinny before he plops the cloud.
So it's one of those situations where you can combat silence with silence.
Yes. That's like
it's basically whoever lands their silence first has the advantage at this point.
Yep. Same with Nibs, fight fire with fire, and that's not even a joke. That's how you do it.
But who else uses fire?
I don't know. We'll need more fire notes in this game then.
Unless one of these knots came out with a mixtape, then he can use the fire from his mixtape to combat Nibs. All right, I'll see myself now.
Yes, I think we're taking turns to who gets to see who out in these.
Which week? Who messes up which week with these terrible puns?
There is no such thing as terrible puns. There's only
Pushkin's actually going to get picked up, and there's only body blocks. And we see it now. That was a huge silence cloud being dropped, and a nice body block coming out from Chris Moon, able to secure that kill on Ted. And here we see the entirety of Ninjas with Attitude being able to progress right now and take that first turret as they continue their, I don't want to say assault, but their counter-assault. As HDTV has had control of mid for a majority of this game. We see...
Look at the Swiggins.
And the Swiggins may be in some trouble right now. Swiggins is going to actually get picked up by Jess. That snipe is going to be dealing a lot of damage right there. And Yellow's going to be forced to get back right now. But Pushkin is back on lane, and he's going to be able to clear very quickly, as this is another super droid on the bottom lane.
It's a super boss.
Jess is going to be able to secure that save on the super droid, but it's not going to be for long, as Pushkin is going to be able to take it out fairly quickly right there, as that super droid does go down, and all members of HDTV have called for a defend. So Ted is actually going to be going back and picking up the second stage of airstrike damage, but right before that, he did get his 3 out of 3 on his pills, so he's going to be maxed out on his HP right now, and he's going to be able to brawl very well, but Jess is going to be able to pick it up on top. Badass Ketchup going to get picked up by Jess.
Oh. Well, speaking of the Swiggins, look at the treasure map he has. I have not seen that upgrade been used for a long time.
And I'm pretty sure that is going to be to deal with the drop and the escape, because that Scoop is going to be able to throw that hammer out, and there we go. We see that CC immunity coming out on there. So an interesting build, actually, but I think it'll work wonders against this comp to kind of escape once he gets that burst in.
Yeah, I think it could work. It definitely could work. Plus, you can now dive into the silence cloud with the debuff immunity.
The Silence Cloud isn't what I'm really too concerned with right now for him. His main concern is being able to get his burst in without being kind of tied down with that rift and with that hammer on the escape. So Ketchup's looking more for a very bursty, get in, get out quickly kind of attack play at the current moment in time, picking up treasure map.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to affect Rift because it is a time distort and not an actual debuff. But it is going to affect this, the snare on the scoop hammer, obviously. Which I'm assuming that's what you were talking about.
Right, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. But Ketchup's going to be caught in a very bad situation right here, but lands his anchor, allowing him to escape. And Pushkin and YOLO now on the attack, but are going to get stuck into that time rift right now. And Jess almost landing the nice hammer out of it. And Kelvin's doing a lot of damage.
The HP spawns on him! The HP spawns on him, though! The HP spawned on him.
What a convoluted situation.
Oh, that's great. That was looking really tough, and the HP just spawns him in. I'm sure that was planned. Totally planned.
Completely timed and planned, yes.
Yes.
And it looks like that top turret is getting assaulted right now by the Ninjas with Attitude, as it is a half a bar, and they've just had a great focus on that top, and we've seen the tides change. The tides have changed direction as the Ninjas with Attitude have taken control of this midsection, and we are going to see the Silence Cloud be dropped in anticipation. YOLO be taking a lot of damage. He's going to get brought down to about half HP. Chris Moon duking it out up top. Kelvin and Jess right there for the saves, though, and Ketchup is going to get his anchor back any second now. They're going to be able to tie somebody down. Kelvin's taking a lot of damage. Kelvin is going to be actually taken down by YOLO right now, and we see that hammer coming down, tying down all members of HDTV, allowing both Jess and Chris Moon to escape that midsection. Unfortunately, they did allow Kelvin to get picked up.
We are going to have to see a lot of push right now. HDTV's chance to actually really go in and do some turret damage. With one player down in this stage of the game, and it's the Vinny down. I want to point out that's the Vinny, so I'm pretty damn sure that they can get a lot of turret damage in. They have the Ted, they have the Swiggins, and they are just looking to get all that damage done. If Penny had been there, that might have been a kill, but she's looking to clear the bottom lane instead.
And we see Ketchup taking a lot of damage from that snipe up there. He's going to be forced to get back a little bit. But HDTV is in that midsection, and they're going to be able to kind of tie it down for a few seconds until Kelvin comes in and drops the Silence Cloud, forcing HDTV to retreat back and fight it out in the upper sections of the map, in the bottom sections of the map, as YOLO is going to be taking a lot of damage, looking for the jukes right now. And YOLO is in a really bad situation, and is probably...
Oh, watch out for the dash! Oh, he's actually getting out. I think he's getting out. I actually think he's getting out. If he can avoid the snipe and the HP once again, and he doesn't even need the HP because he is actually gonna juke out the snipe.
But everybody taunting in a situation like that.
That is great stuff. Oh, the jukes are real.
A nice play on YOLO's part there, being able to juke out Ninjas with Attitude in a seemingly death-defying situation.
Oh man, I was just sitting there. Oh, clutching my teeth like, come on, you can do it. And he did it.
In the midst of that, though, the top turn for HDTV was taken. But another solar boss pickup from HDTV is going to grant them 20 more solar difference at this point. We're looking at that Vinny with the Farm Cloud leading the game with 2,820 at this point, compared to the lower member Swiggins on the other team with 2,230. And a nice pickup coming out on Kelvin right now. And actually, we're going to see them looking for that core damage right now.
Oh, YOLO
taking a lot of damage. YOLO is in a really bad spot. YOLO's going to get picked up by Kelvin, excuse me. That Silence Cloud being dropped again, and Ketchup is going to be forced to fight it out. But there's a lot of damage on the core right now, and this may be a good game. This is a single Swiggins against a Rift, against the Silence Cloud.
Against the world. Oh. And that's ended the matches. The Ninjas go back into the unseen.
And here we saw another match on Rivet where we saw the tides of battle change from a few errors. And I wouldn't even call them errors, actually, because those Silence Clouds, I would say that there were errors in the placement of the fights coming out on HDTV. But
yeah,
fighting in a Silence Cloud is very rough. You can't use your abilities, and as a Ted, you can't even switch to your shotgun, which is one of his main staple folds in those team fights, being able to deal that kind of no-clip damage through each of their teammates. So if you can land a double shotty or triple shotty, 320 damage on everybody at that point, allowing the kind of backup that you have with that Swiggins or that Penny to kind of get that extra damage in and force them to retreat in a situation like that. Unfortunately for HDTV, Ninjas with Attitude had some very nice placement on that Silence Cloud. Kelvin, an excellent job with that. And they followed it up with those kind of snares in the Silence Cloud. They had that Time Rift in there. They had those snares with the hammer into the Time Rift in the Silence Cloud. So HDTV is forced to fight this huge battle where they can't use any abilities. They're just rocking their AA at that point in those Silence Clouds. And for a majority of that match, they retreated away from them, but when it really mattered, they did get caught in there, and the Ninjas with Attitude were able to kind of fight back and take those kills, secure those kills, and we saw it towards the end of the match. Nice jukes on YOLO's part, being the fox that he or she is, being able to escape like that. But we are going to be taking a break, and when we get back, we have the finals.
Yes, we have finals for you. It's going to be good.
We're going straight to the finals this time. Without further ado, we'll take a break, and we'll be